I'd like to call this meeting to order on Monday, June 17th. And we're going to call for the land acknowledgement that on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Nishnawbe, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. Confirmation of the agenda that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby approves the agenda for June 17th, 2024 council meeting as presented. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to any item of business on an agenda, 2 minutes per person. Members wishing to speak will need to state their name and the item of business that they wish to speak on. Just ask you to press the button on the microphone, and there's going to be a chance in after Planner Hallman talks, if anybody involved there would like to speak at that time. Consent agenda that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby adopts the consent items 5.1.1 and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 5.1.2 to 5.3.4 for information purposes. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeves, seconder. Councillor Whitfield. Would anybody like to pull anything? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Yeah, I'd like to pull 5.3.1. It's the, it's that 531. So it's the municipality of Calendar. And it's got to do with asking the government to get on with it as far as the assessments, get that done. I think people have been afraid of that because they figure the taxes are going to go up, but that's not necessarily true. It just means the mill rate gets changed. And I know from talking with some people in our municipality who have built new homes, they get assessed as they are. And when it's multiplied times the mill rate that the rest of us are utilizing from the 2016 assessment, they are really taxed high. And so it'd be really good to flatten this out. Everybody gets treated the same.
Thank you. Anybody else like to pull anything? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So if the mover, Deputy Falconer, and the seconder, Councillor Whitfield, are fine with the requested amendment, your new motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent item 5.1.1, and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 5.1.2 to 5.3.4, exclusive of 5.3.1 for information purposes.
Yes. All in favor? Carried.
So then your second motion being moved by Councillor Palmer would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to send a letter of support for agenda item 5.3.1.
Seconder, Councillor McBurney, all in favor? Carried. Public meetings, hearings, and delegations, 6.1 zoning bylaw amendment, file number Z02-2024, location part of lot 42, concession 14, East Wallinosh Ward, Township of North Huron. Applicant and owner, Priamo Limited, Southside Construction Management Limited. At this time, I ask Planner Hallman to come and present to us. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me. Olivia, if you just want to go to the first slide. All right, thanks. So as mentioned by the Reeve, the purpose of this is to receive information on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and plan of subdivision application that's affecting the subject lands located in Hutton Heights, and also to hold a statutory public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment application, the purpose of which is to provide members of the public the opportunity to provide any verbal comments or ask questions. And also to provide information for council and the public, and then also the opportunity for council to ask any questions about the proposal. In terms of the application process, so currently we are at the statutory public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment. There's no public meeting for the plan of subdivision, but information on the accompanying plan of subdivision was included in the materials this evening. And then in the future, staff will bring back a recommendation report for North Huron Council on the zoning bylaw amendment application, as well as the draft plan of subdivision, of which the rezoning application, the decision will be made by North Huron Council. And then for the plan of subdivision, North Huron makes a recommendation to Huron County Council for a decision. So just to give some information on the process. So the subject lands, as I mentioned before, they are located in the settlement area of Hutton Heights, which is currently receiving infrastructure for public water and sewage. The lands are currently designated residential in the North Huron official plan, and they are zoned future development. So there's a 2020 aerial imagery of the subject property and surrounding lands, and the property is approximately 16 acres in size. So here are just some site photos of the subject land. So council will note that most of the property is currently vacant and being agriculturally cropped. There's also some hedgerow features and a woodland feature. So the lands do abut township property that's a buffer to the sewage lagoons. There's also some existing residential lots in the settlement area of Hutton Heights and at church property. So in terms of the proposal at a high level, it's proposing a mix of low, medium, and high density residential. The applicant has provided the following supporting application materials with their submission: planning justification report, archaeology assessment, environmental impact study, functional servicing report, and a traffic impact study, all as part of their application submission. So the following shows the draft plan of subdivision. Council also received in their package a more detailed PDF file of the plan of subdivision. But to summarize, there's proposed 50 lots that are intended for low density residential, including single detached dwellings, proposed medium density residential. So that's 24 lots. And that is proposed to be used for row house dwellings. So similar to townhomes. For the high density residential, that is block 75. And at this time, it is proposed that it is going to be used for an apartment building, or what we refer to in the zoning bylaws, a multiple unit dwelling. There's also 2 blocks that are for a natural environment buffer area to that woodland feature. And there's also 1 open space walkway to connect with the township property to the west. And then there's also 3 new internal streets proposed as part of the plan of subdivision. So there's also an accompanying zoning bylaw amendment. So currently the lands are zoned future development and designated residential, with the intent that when a proposal comes along, they will rezone it specifically to reflect their proposal. So it's proposed to be rezoned to natural environment in those natural environment blocks, open space to correspond with the future pedestrian walkway block. There's low, medium, and high density zones that correspond with the proposed lots that I previously mentioned. And my report does go into greater detail, but there are specific special provisions proposed for each of those low density, medium, and high density zones. So for the single attached dwelling, it's proposed that there be a reduced frontage, reduced exterior side yard, reduced rear yard, and increased lot coverage. And that would be for single detached dwellings. And then in the R2 medium density, special provisions are proposed for reduced lot area, frontage, rear yard, and an increased lot coverage. And for the residential high density, it is proposed that there be a special provision that stipulates a 4-story building height. So in terms of comments, the application was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act by the township as well as the county. As of current, we have not received any public written comments. So that was as of the date of report submission and as of today at 4:30 p.m. We also do circulate to agencies and neighboring communities. Chippewas of the Thames Nation has provided comments indicating they have minimal concern. Agency comments we received from MVCA, so Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, Hydro One, Enbridge, / Union Gas, and Bell Canada, all of which they have no concerns, and their comments will be reflected in conditions. Detailed technical comments will be received from township and county staff and reflected in a future report as that technical review continues to be ongoing and will be reflected in future conditions. So in terms of the recommendation, this is included in the report. Firstly, it's recommended again that this report be received for information, that council receives any comments as part of the statutory public meeting, and that staff be directed to bring back a report with a recommendation on the zoning amendment and the accompanying plan of subdivision application at a future regular meeting, and that will depend on how the review continues with the applicant. So I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have, and I also will note that a representative for the applicant is in attendance this evening.
Thank you very much, Planner Hallman. This time, are there any questions that will go 6.1.2, opportunity to comment on application by the applicant and or agent.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. My name is Casey Kolchicki. I'm a senior planner with Zelenka Priamo Limited, representing Southside Construction Management on the proposed plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment. I'll take this time to thank Hannah for her work on the file to date. As she noted, the technical review of our applications is ongoing. We look forward to hearing your comments tonight, as well as the comments from the members of the public in attendance. I'll keep this brief, and just if there are any questions of me, I would be happy to answer them tonight.
Six point 1.3, opportunity comments by others in attendance. Anybody like to say anything? Any members of the public? Seeing none. Okay. Yeah, just come on up to the mic, please, and just say your name and that.
All right, through the Reeves. So I'm also gonna just ask some township staff if they have any insight, as they've been a little bit more involved in the servicing and roads network. But my understanding that road is Lloyd Street, that it will be improved up to a municipal standard, at least to the edge of the subject property. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It's just a continuation, like it's gonna be a regular street now, the Lagoon Road?
Yeah, so through the Reeve, and again, I will also refer to Chip Wilson. So my understanding is currently right now, it is a legal road allowance and it is a street. It's just in terms of the actual infrastructure and the materials, it will be brought up to what's called a municipal standard, because there is going to be more traffic there, at least up to the subject property.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I just have another question about Crawford Street. When are you planning, I guess this would be to you. When are you planning to do the housing on that part of Crawford Street?
Crawford is outside of our subject lands. We're constructing a new municipal road internal to our lands. That will just be brought on. This is a small scale subdivision, so everything's kind of going to be completed as a single phase.
Okay.
The apartment building will probably be done at a later time, but like the townhouses and the single detached will pretty much be done simultaneously within the next, pending approvals. We're probably looking at a 2 to 3 year build out of the subdivision.
And is that all going like down the Lagoon Road? Is that where we're starting?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
My name is Joanne Peterson and I'm 10 Crawford Street. I have two questions. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to address them both at the same time, but the first one is the street that's existing right now from Highway 4 to Lloyd Street into our subdivision and then the new subdivision, will that be the only in and out, or are there plans for more?
I'll turn that over to Public Works, Chip, please.
Currently, it's going to stay status quo to what is existing there now for the street layout. As far as Crawford and Lloyd, yes. There isn't going to be any additional entrances or exits.
Okay. I'd like to bring up the concern that that is not enough for the infrastructure that
Go. Did you want to go with that, Mr. Wilson, please?
Well, currently what's been laid out and through the design, then that's all that's currently been put forward is what's existing there now is adequate for what is being proposed to be built. And that's what the design is based on.
Okay, so my second question is, we were told in the beginning that the high density block would be put near the back. And now this proposal is shown that it's actually going to be across the street from us and across the street from the church thing. So I just wonder why that had to change.
Oh, maybe go to Hannah with that, please. Planner Hannah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Through the Reeve, I'm just going to go to the picture of the subdivision, so we're all looking at the same thing. So yeah, so as mentioned by the member of the public, it will be across from the church property. Again, I'm not familiar with if there was a previous plan that was seen in front of council, but this is currently what has been submitted and circulated under the Planning Act. So that is what is proposed today. Again, I can't really speak to what has changed, but you know, occasionally that does happen with applicants that when they get into more of the detailed work and get ready to submit their plan of subdivision plans may change.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay. Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll go to 6.1.4, opportunity for question and comments from council members. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you, through your Reeve. I'm just curious, is this subdivision be able to be included in the West Stereo power connection, or is it outside of the?
No,
Is it-
understand that it's got to be hydro.
I don't want, okay,
South of Highway 86 is all Hydro 1.
okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Reeve. I was just wondering what type of roads or what the standard of roads is gonna be for the subdivision? Like, are there sidewalks on all their streets? Are there bike lanes gonna be put in there? You know, I'm just curious what the intent is, because there really wasn't that level of detail in the package.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, through the Reeve. So I can answer high level and then if township staff has any more details. So that will be based on the township has their municipal development and servicing guidelines that are a separate guideline that they would stipulate the minimum standards for that. So typically at the plan of subdivision, we would only be looking at, for example, what the width of the road is at this point, with the understanding that, you know, if they get draft approval through the conditions, they will be required to do detailed design at that time, at which it'll be to the satisfaction of the township. And again, the key document being their development and servicing guidelines. So it is proposed that there would be a 20-meter road allowance. And then at the south end of the street in the southeast corner, there will be a temporary turnaround at this time until there's a potentially future development. And then currently what the township's development guidelines have is that they require one sidewalk per side of the road. So there would be a sidewalk on one side of the road. That would be the expectation at this point, but those would be details that would be dealt with later. So
Thank you. I think if we all have driven around the new subdivision in Blythe, you see that's the minimum standards that has been set there too. So thank you. Any other questions from any of the councillors, please? Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Hannah, is this going to cause sidewalks down for Highway 4, London Road 4? Is it going to, down the road, is that going to be asked, at least on one side?
yeah, so through the Reeve, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, out of the scope of this current project, but you know, with more people potentially locating in Hutton Heights, that may be something that'll come up or need to be looked at the future. But as far as I'm aware, I don't believe that there are any plans to have pedestrian infrastructure on Highway 4. And I'm guessing you were asking into Wingham, but I'm not aware of that. And I'll also defer to the township if they have any other comments on pedestrian access. There is the one pedestrian walkway. The idea of that is hopefully to provide some connection to the plan of subdivision if that area abutting the lagoon is for whatever it's used in the future. But I'm not aware of anything on Highway 4.
Public Works, Chip, did you have anything to add, please?
No, I'm not aware of anything that's proposed for Highway 4, and that would have to be in conjunction with county also, as it being on the right of way.
Yeah, with that being the county highway for sure. Are there any other questions from anybody here, please? Any member have any questions? Okay, well, I thank you very much, Hannah, for that. At this time, zoning bylaw procedure following public meeting. This is a public meeting of the Council of the Township of North Huron. Thus, a decision of council may or may not be made this evening on the zoning bylaw amendment. If the bylaw is passed by council, the clerk is required to send notice of the passing of the bylaw to persons or public bodies that have made written requests to be notified of the decision. There is a 20-day objection period from the time the notice of the passing of the bylaw has been mailed by first-class post, wherein submissions, letters of objection, or support in respect to the passing of the bylaw will be received by the clerk. Members of the public do not have the right to appeal the decision of council. Only the applicant, the registered owner of the lands, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, a specified person under the Planning Act, or a public body that has an interest in the matter may appeal the decision. If an objection is received, an appeal is lodged with Ontario Land Tribunal, and at that point, the township no longer has any control over the time factor involved. If council does not pass the bylaw, the applicant may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If the bylaw is passed and no objections are received within the objection period, the clerk certifies that the bylaw is in force and of effect as of the date of its passing, and notice is forwarded to the Huron County Planning and Development Department. Okay, at this time, we have 6.16 summary comments recommended of the Huron County Planning and Development part. But go ahead, Planner Holman, please.
So it is recommended that council adopt the motion that was included in the council report, which I will just repeat for information. So that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report of the planner regarding zoning bylaw amendment application Z 02/2024 for information purposes, and further that council hereby receives verbal and written comments during the statutory public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment application Z 02/2024, and further that staff be directed to bring back a report with a recommendation on zoning bylaw amendment application Z 02/2024 and an accompanying plan of subdivision application 40T 24001 at a future regular meeting.
Thank you. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Henderson, seconder. Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Yep, through your worship. So if you have concerns, you can email them to myself as the clerk or Planner Holman. And those would all be addressed and included in Planner Holman's report back at a future council meeting. So there's no additional requirement for notice under the Planning Act, but if you provide myself or Hannah with that request in an email, then we will include you on any notice to go out for that.
Okay.
No problem.
Satisfied with that? Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we're going to 7.3 CC 2024-01 lease agreement with the Avon Maitland District School Board for the before and after school program. Are there any questions for Director Stice, please? Any questions? It's pretty clear from the little report that she had to make up for us. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Councillor Van Hitterson. All in favor? Carried. Public Works and Facilities. Sorry, if you people want to step out now, you may. Would you just give you a moment there and just appreciate you coming out and addressing us with your questions. Very much appreciated. Okay, now we'll go to 7.4.1, Public Works 2024-2022 Water and Wastewater Projects, reallocation of the funds. At this time now, are there any questions for Director Wilson? No? Very good. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Councillor Whitfield. All in favor? Carried. 7.4.2, Public Works 2024-23, Agricultural Land Lease Tender. Are there, again, any questions for Director Wilson? Seeing none, okay, may I have a mover? Councillor Palmer, Councillor Van Hitterson, all in favor? Carried. 7.4.3, FA 2024-04 Dectron Unit Emergency Repairs. Are there any questions for Director Wilson? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Van Hitterson, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wilson, is this the new Dectron unit that got a power surge or?
Yeah, I believe this unit is approximately 2 years old.
Are there any surge protectors on the Dectron units or is that not any help?
There was, from what I understand from conversations with some of the facility staff over there, that there was fuses blowing along the line and then it still got to the unit and damaged the unit.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Councillor Palmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. I was going to ask the same thing about surge protectors because we all have them at home or we try to. You gonna upgrade the surge protector, make it different, or that's one question. And the other would be, is it worth to go through insurance or is it too small?
Answer to your first question is that we will certainly have the discussion about the surge protection that they are planning on putting in. And as far as insurance, I understand that it's the deductible is quite a bit more than this. So I guess it wouldn't be feasible to go through insurance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? May I have a move? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Reeve. Yeah, it's just about the surge protector. Make sure you don't use the same one. Same kind.
May we mover, please? Councillor Whitfield, Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. 7.4.4 FA 2024-05 request for additional funds for the West Cast Community Complex Generator Project. Again, are there any questions for Director Wilson? Go ahead, Councillor Van Hitterson, and then we'll go to Deputy Reeve, please.
Thank you very much. Why wasn't the base tank included in the tender that was sent out first? Is this normally how it works?
You'll have to understand that I wasn't here when the RFP originally went out. So I understand that the standalone unit was what was tendered first, and then with some internal discussions, staff thought that it would be better suited if it was a similar unit to what's currently at the town hall with a sub base, just for security and vandalism for the location where it is located behind the complex, safety, and I would think for the it's out of sight, out of mind then, and people can't tamper with it.
Right, thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Reed, please.
Yes, thank you, Reeve. Just some curious questions on the, I too are kind of dismayed that it wasn't in the original request for submission as part of the project coming before before it came before council, so we can make a proper decision on it. It speaks to in the request for the additional funds, a fuel tank to be located underground or underneath the generator. I'm just curious, is there not natural gas available at that location, and why would we need a separate fuel for the generator when generally you know, the natural gas units would be just connected to the main gas line? It wouldn't require a fuel tank underneath.
Go ahead, Director Wilson, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Pfeffer. The decision was made on this because of what the purpose of the complex is going to be if there is an emergency. And what we found from experience in Goderich through our tornado is that when natural gas has to get shut off, we lost our emergency center. And we were just fortunate enough that the Knights of Columbus also are connected to our standby power across the road at our booster station, which was diesel. So having it fueled by diesel would give you the opportunity of, if there was a disaster here and natural gas had to get shut off, you would still have the complex as your emergency center.
Thank you. That answers is quite satisfactory. Thank you. Never thought of that.
Yep. Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, thank you, Rave. I look at it like as a farm. Why not just get a tank? Actually, the company that usually supplies the fuel can even give you a tank if you promise to keep using their fuel. I know there won't be high usage until it's needed, but still, like, it's the arena. There's a ton of space there. Personally, I don't care about the footprint. I don't care about aesthetically pleasing. I care about $24,000 going out the window for a really pretty base with fuel underneath it. Like, I don't get it, because there's other ways of doing it. And then the childcare center is not being mentioned, so I'm not sure what the storage system is there.
Go ahead.
I can answer the one in regards to the childcare. It is going to be gas because, yeah, natural gas there, because it is not a emergency center for it. And as I say, and I can't really speak to a lot of the background on this sub base, but I do understand the safety and security, and it's similar to, as I said, the one that is currently located behind Town Hall. That's basically all I can.
Deputy Reed, please.
Thank you, Reeve. Just another follow-up question. Were any of the other, was a fuel containment system included in any of the higher quotes? Or was it, this was just complete add-on afterwards? Just wonder if that was the discrepancy in the quotes, whether one had it and one didn't.
I don't think that was a discrepancy, Deputy Reeve.
Thank you. Any other questions then? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Rave. I thought I read that this was an afterthought, so there already was a storage system. There had to have been already a storage system in the quote, because there was this was an add-on. So, or a betterment, an advancement. That's how I read it. So, can you explain that?
Through you, Reeve Heffer, there was in the RFP and I believe it was a standalone diesel fuel tank. Yeah, I believe that's what was in the RFP. And then, as I said, I believe that there was staff discussions and they thought that it would be better for safety and security for a sub base so that it'd be more tamper proof.
Appreciate your response to the questions. Okay, at this time, no other questions. I'll go forward that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives a report from the Interim Director of Public Works and Facilities dated June 17th, 2024 regarding a request for additional funds for the West Cass Community Complex Generator Project for information purposes. And further, that the council directs the Director of Finance Treasurer to add an additional $24,300 plus applicable taxes to accept the tender amount for the West Cass Community Complex Generator Project. May I have a mover? Councillor McBurney, seconder. Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. Seven point 6.1. North Huron Deaccessioning Project, report number 12. At this time, are there any questions for our CAO? It's nice to see 2,131 items coming off. I can see that building emptying out very much so. So that is great news. Are there any questions for our CAO? Seeing none, that the Council of Township North Huron hereby receives the report prepared by the Community Engagement Coordinator dated June 17th, 2024 regarding the North Huron Museum Deaccessioning Project, report number 12 for information purposes. And further, that the council authorize the staff to continue with the deaccessioning process for the list of artifacts attached to the staff report CS 2024-06 following the North Huron Museum Deaccessioning Policy. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Henderson, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. CS 2024-07, Wingham Fighters Association's Homecoming Fireworks 2024. At this time, are there any questions for CAO or I guess, yeah, okay. Are there any questions for our CAO there? Oh, pretty straightforward. I think they're just moving the time a bit, a day or so. And at this time, I'll ask for a mover. Councillor Wright, Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence, recurring actions, seeing none. Council reports. I'd like to just say that I was able to give regards for the Alice Monroe opening that they had on Friday, week ago, and it's been 21 years that this has been going on. They had a nice number in attendance that evening, and they gave to the winner of the short stories and the long and the adult stories the prizes there, and it was very interesting to see. It's nice seeing some local people were out in attendance that had submitted stories. One lady was from East Wawanosh, so it's nice having a little chat with her. It's great. And then on the last few nights ago at the 50th anniversary of the Blythe Festival, brought regards back. My reaction to that was when you go to AMO conference or something like that, people see you're from North Huron. Well, they want to know where that is. And I just gave the analogy of Wingham or Blythe. Oh, I've heard of the Blythe Festival. And so it got attention of the people there, that the work that they're doing. And they had a lot of the people that do their sponsorship there. And it was good seeing that. And again, they had their show presented that night down at the open air place. And again, I just want to mention the homecoming coming up. I know Corey Belia is putting out 6 pages of stuff, the things that are going on. It's just unbelievable, I say, that things going on, and it is a good tribute to Joe and Heidi Carter, and just thank them for working on this, and then now it is coming to fruition now, and it's just great seeing that happening. At this time, are there council member, board, and committee reports at this time, verbal or written updates from members who sit on boards or committees? Is there anybody? Go ahead, Councillor McBurney.
Yes, thank you, Reeve. In regards to the community safety and well-being plan for Huron County, we're about to embark on our campaign number 3, which is community safety and security. And the theme of this is to educate Huron residents about the campaign and the work being conducted by the Huron OPP, including community service occurrences to address the big 4 factors for vehicle incidents, which would be speeding, seat belts, impaired driving, and distracted driving. The launch for this is July 2nd, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor McBurney. Go ahead, Councillor Whitfield.
Yeah, I was with Paul, and we had the opportunity to go with the Ontario Clean Water Group on a bus tour. We started over at the Clinton Arena over there, and we left from there. We went out to Lori and Barb, or Barry Trebles, the farm out there where they are, and they took us back to a bush that was leveled by the tornado in 2012. We had a look at that, and they had 8 acres that was flattened down. So they wanted to do something with it to kind of clean it up and everything. So between the county, some grants, Maitland Valley Conservation, and they said about 120 volunteers, they ended up cleaning the area up and planting a lot of trees. So with the trees comes a little bit of foliage and everything that is there, and the area is now growing up, and they have trails through it. It's looking really good. And again, this is like clean water. The water comes down onto this land, and it kind of filters it before it goes to the Great Lakes, it was quite interesting to see everything that was there and the dedication of these people they're putting this on. It was quite a show. Then we went to that Andy Ross farm, which backs right onto the Maitland up near Goderich. And he had rented the land out, and he thought it was time to maybe plant some trees and do a bit of stuff. And there was some grants, and he got a pile of trees planted up there. He got over 3 years. He got $5,000 worth of trees planted, and he's got a whole bunch of different trees up there. Where are we here? Maple, black walnut, cherry, tamarack, and there are a lot more different trees. It's not just, sometimes you just see the spruce or the pine trees growing, but there is a lot of other trees that they have been planting around the area. And this is all for erosion and everything, just for that type of area. So it was very interesting to see. And again, like volunteers planting these trees, like they were showing everything. And he said he had the tubes around all his trees up there. He says mice were his worst enemy to the trees. I thought it might have been rabbits, but no, it was mice. So he's got a couple dogs there that kind of help out a bit, and he set some traps, and he told us every once in a while he has the stomp and chomp days when he opens up the traps. It was kind of interesting. It was kind of funny with the guys that were there. It was good. So then, like, they're running into a lot of invasive plants here now, with the buckthorn and grapevine and everything too. And there is grants and people that'll come around if you think you have some kind of invasive plants. They'll come around and help you out with your lands and everything, and help you identify what's growing there. And we were learning quite a bit about all the different plants. Again, it was quite good. And then we cruised down the road. We went to the Hullet Swamp. They have a little over 5,000 acres down there now, down in that area. Some of it's subsidized by the government, the county and the whole bit. But they have 850 acres of land that is rented out for crops. So that's where they get most of their money to keep that place going. So we had a tour out there and saw the little lakes that they had out there and all the vegetation, and they had the turtles and all the animals, and they have hunts in there because they got so many animals too. And it was kind of nice to see. And then we had our lunch there. It was a good day. These people are very dedicated to this water and how it's getting back to the lakes, and they're right into it. And on the way back to Clinton, they were working on some land where instead of like the big hills and everything, they kind of leveled it out and made a little less grade for a little less erosion. And if there was an area in there, they had planted some trees and some shrubs and some grasses and everything to kind of hold water onto the land instead of having it erode the land away and go into the streams. It was a very interesting day. These people are very passionate with their work, and I was very impressed with the day. It was very good. That's it.
Thanks you. Was there at this time, comments by members? Seeing none. Notice of motion, any notice of motion? Seeing any? Bylaws. Bylaw number 44, 2024, cross-border water and sanitary sewer connection policy. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, seconder. Councillor Whitfield. Yes, go ahead.
Reeve, thank you. I just wanted to thank staff for identifying there was a need to reduce the liability for the residents. Thanks.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 45, 2024, refund policy. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, seconder. Deputy Reeve. All in favor? Carried. 10.3, bylaw number 46, 2024, Wingham Town Hall Theater Rental Policy. Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Reeve. I would actually like to propose a different amendment that this bylaw be referred back to staff. Upon a further review this week, I think the current policy, so it focused on the most intrusive aspect of town hall rentals, right? The big bands and the setup and the impact that has on staff. I think it's in a very good spot. But it's unclear what less intrusive uses of the town hall may be allowed between business hours, midweek, Monday to Friday. I think it'd be good for everyone, especially staff, to have kind of clear guidance on what uses the town hall theater can be used for. Because certainly I don't think the intent is to not use it for anything, but certainly we have to respect, the staff work there, and there may be additional restrictions over and above the musical acts. So I'd like to make that motion.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, is there any chance that we could put this into place first and then we can evaluate on a continued basis, how things, like all our other policies? Like, I'm just curious if that would work with that, Councillor Palm, right?
Well, we haven't adopted it now, so I think now's the time to do it. And I think it should be made clear whether we are going to allow town hall rentals during business hours, Monday to Friday, or not, because I think we'd be putting staff in a uncomfortable position, because I certainly can't read the policy and make that determination. So I don't know if staff would feel comfortable doing that either. So I think it's better to do it now before it's been adopted.
I'll ask Clerk Lamb to
Yeah, so through your worship, I guess there's a couple ways to do this. So I guess there's the option you've suggested where you pass the policy as is, and then staff evaluate to see if it's working well, if it's not working well. If it's not working well, something comes back and you do an amendment. Or if you're looking to make that amendment, I guess pre-adoption, you can do a couple things. You can refer it back to staff. We would prepare a report with an updated policy, or if council knows what amendment you would like to see in the policy, you can still pass the bylaw tonight, give it 3 readings subject to an amendment to permit weekday bookings, or to clarify wording to not permit weekday bookings, and then we would just make that administrative amendment after the fact, and then that way you're your policy would still be in place. So there's a few ways to do it. It depends whether you want to see a report back, or if you know what amendments you're looking for, if any. You can direct staff to make those amendments, and we'll prepare a amended policy based on that.
So yeah, to clarify, my amendment, Reeve, it was to refer the report back to staff for another go at it, for another revision. Because, you know, I don't really know how, you know, how loud it would be with, say, a group of 50 people in there or something in the packs to staff. So looking for staff's input on what reasonable restrictions we would put in place for midweek rentals during business hours.
So Counselor Wright, if just let me know if this isn't what you're looking for, but the motion would be something along the lines of that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby refers the bylaw back to staff to prepare an update to the policy on whether non-intrusive weekday rentals will be permitted. Is that kind of?
Yes, and if so, what restriction would be put in place on those rentals?
Okay, so that's captured. Thank you.
Okay, we have a mover there, a seconder, Counselor Palmer. All in favor? Carried. And point 4, bylaw number 47, 2024, amendments to fees and charges bylaw. May I have a mover? Counselor Whitfield, seconder, Deputy Reeve. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 48-2024, special service area rating for street lighting bylaw. May I have a mover? Counselor Van Hitterson, seconder. Counselor McBurney, all in favor? Carried. Next meetings, the next regular council meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the North Huron Council Chambers here. The next Wingham BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, June 20th, 2024 at 6:30 in the Hot Stove Lounge at the North Huron West Cass Community Complex. And the next Blythe BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, June 27th, 2024 at 8 a.m. in the Blythe and District Community Center. Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, going to other business, 12.1. Deputy Reed, Chair.
Okay, item 12.1 is a previous notice of motion for today from the Reeve Heifer. I'll turn it over to Reeve Heifer to give us notice of motion.
I'd just like to
Question.
I'd like to just have a report back of ways that we're always looking to improve our meetings, and interested in seeing how other municipalities receive the public input. And just like to have a report come back and see if we are aligned with other municipalities. That's what I'm asking for at this time.
Okay, I'll refer over to Clerk Lamb.
Yep, so the motion is being moved by Reeve Heifer, that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to prepare a report providing information about how other municipalities receive public input and whether they include a public comment section on their council meeting agendas. So then you're looking for a seconder.
Do I have a seconder? Councilor McBurney. All in favor? Question? Sorry, go ahead.
Deputy Reeve, Reeve Heifer, are you bringing this forth because you see a problem with the way it is now with the 2-minute deal with public?
Yes, I am Councillor McBurney or Councillor Palmer. I'm seeing that not a lot of the people are coming forward with something on the agenda. They want to talk about something different. And I thought this way, if there's a way that maybe if they came forth with a delegation and then we can ask questions to it, where other than that, they just come and fire off and for the 2 minutes. That's my hope, just that it'd smooth a meeting a little bit better, be more proactive and that's about all I can say.
Go ahead.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. They have that option now. They could, anyone could put forth a delegation as long as Clerk Lamb agrees with it. I know we've had some issues, I guess, but we've had some people utilize the 2 minutes in a nice way as well,
Mhm.
productive way. Okay, well, I'm not against it by any means. I was just wondering what was in your head about it and.
I just feel they could come with a delegation and we all can ask questions after, where the other way we couldn't, right? They just speak their mind and that's it. So I just thought it'd be make a meeting run a bit smoother. Thank you.
Seeing no other comments, we have the mover Heifer and the seconder McBurney. All in favor? It's carried.
Closed session and reporting out that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby proceeds at 6:56 to an in-camera session closed to the public under section 239(2)(f) and C of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that solicitor advice, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, proposed acquisition of land. And further, that the Chief Administrative Officer remains at item 1 and 2, and the Director of Legislative Service / Clerk, item 1 and 2, the Director of Finance Treasurer, items 1 and 2, and the Director of Recreation Services, Children's Services, item 1, remain in attendance. May I have a mover? Counselor Van Hitterson, seconder. Counselor Whitfield, all in favor?